everybody, this is a very special edition of the Clouse to the Heart show here on YouTube.com. We thank you so much for taking time out of your day to give the show a watch. With me is one of two very special guests I'm going to have on this episode. MWO fans, IWE fans know him as one of the most beloved superstars in the game today. He is known as Backwoods Bam. Please welcome Branden Welch to the show. Branden, how are we doing, brother?
Howdy, man. I'm doing all right. Good. Taking, day by day, trying not to stress the little things, but sometimes finding myself stressing the little things, but still living happy.
Well, that's all that matters, right? Especially in this day and age. It's been a long time since you and I have had an actual conversation. So yeah. I'm very much looking forward to this.
Oh, I've been excited about this all day.
All right, cool. Well, Bam, as you know, this is a very special edition. We tried to do this on the podcast, but the technology aspect of it is not our friend today. So we decided to do this for the YouTube show, which probably is going to work out a lot better, I think. But listen, we're coming on the heels of just a really shocking, I guess. I mean, I don't even know how to put it into words. A certain group of circumstances that has really rocked two wrestling promotions and everybody in it. The passing of my brother Jeff. This episode is coming on the heels of the celebration of life that we had for him on July 25th. But I wanted to continue paying tribute to this guy because he was just larger than life, right? And
yeah,
when I thought of two guys from the wrestling aspect of his life, you were one of those two, because I think you and Jeff had a pretty unique bond, right? You guys were very good friends, and he was actually very instrumental in you coming to the Michigan Wrestling Organization. And I just kind of want to give viewers an opportunity to hear a side of PF, who in the ring was very abrasive at times, especially with a microphone in his hand, because you never knew what was coming out of that mouth, right?
Well, it's fooled every time.
Right. But kind of take me back, Bam. When did you first meet Jeff? How did that whole dynamic start?
Oh man, when I first met Jeff was before I was even a wrestler. It was when I was still sitting out in the crowd.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if a lot of people know that, but I was a fan first. Now, thanks to Jason and Jeff, and mainly Jeff, I get to live my dream. But yeah, honestly, he was one of the first wrestlers who talked to me, who acted like he actually gave a damn. And that stood out. It was like him, Bron, and Fat Tony were the first three who actually ever talked to me. And honestly, I stayed away from you, though, because I was nervous at the time. I'd come to your show and just be in awe, I loved it. I loved all the beginning guys there, all the guys I started with. But at the same time, I was around in the Terry Lounge days. But
right.
But no, the first time I met Jeff was when I was just still a fan, when JJ was taking me to the show, and I just remember it was at IWE, just saying hi, getting the courage and being like, hey, Mr. PF, how are you? And he was like, don't call me that. What's up, man? We just bull crapped, and that stands out to me this day. And like I said, man, when I became a wrestler, I looked at what Jeff did for me that night. Jeff and Bron and stuff, mainly Jeff and Bron. When those two stopped what they were doing, almost pulls in their hand just to shake my hand and say thank you for the support, and then after they were done coming up and just treating me like I was a person, not just like a fanboy or what is it? What does everybody like to say?
Marks.
Marks, yeah. Like, you know what? I am a mark. I always will be a mark. Like, I love wrestling. Why are you doing it if you're not? But
Right.
those two were the only two that didn't treat me like a mark. And since that day, it's like I've had some pretty cool relationships now with just MWO fans. And even when I'm going through like rough times, like not one of these fans, you, John, any of these guys, or Jeff, like none of you guys ever gave up on me. So I take a lot of pointers for like how I act, even in locker rooms by Jeff, man. Because even when I first started, I noticed like he had respect. He treated everybody with respect, but at the same time, if you made him mad, like he won't be disrespected. And
Right.
that's something I really looked up to Jeff about. Like, and you know, him being a Tech 9 fan, that was a huge part. Like, I miss him like a lot. So
It
good guy.
yeah, I mean one of a kind, right? Because you know, you talk about, you know, how he was in the locker room. You know, he made an entrance without making an entrance. You know, you just first of all, you usually smelled them coming before you seen them, right? Because
Yeah.
that's been the running gag with the whole thing. You know, you know, you smelled him before he was coming. And you know, he was definitely a locker room leader. He was a guy that a lot of people sought after, you know, for advice, for pointers, for this, that, or the other thing. And it, from a promoter's standpoint, it's fun sometimes to just kind of to step back away from everything happening, just kind of stand in the corner and see how people interact with one another. You know, there's a common layer of respect amongst all the boys and girls in the locker room, but inevitably you spend more time with these people, you get to know them on a more personal level, and they become, you know, pretty close friends. Watching
Yeah.
the dynamic between you and Jeff was always such a treat, because I could tell, just, I mean, I may not have been able to hear what you guys were talking about, but I was watching your body language, you know, just the aura between you two, and I could tell you without a shadow of a doubt, Bam, is he looked at you as you were his little brother. Like he was going to take you under his wing and take care of you. Now I can tell you this, um, from a personal standpoint and a professional standpoint, he didn't do that with a whole lot of people. It had to be somebody very special before he would go to bat for anybody, because, you know, we've all been burned, we've all been stabbed in the back, and, you know, by people that we trusted and counted on. And man, you had a very unique bond, and it was really something very special, you know, to watch. Um,
Yeah, he was
so
one of my favorite people. Like
yeah,
one of my favorite people to sought out during the show. Like right when I'd get there, it would normally be him outside. I could smell him walking up, and every time I see him, he'd get a big grin. I'd get a big grin. We'd hug each other, and I'd talk to him before I talked to anybody else, and I'd go around hugging everybody. And
right,
he was just a good dude. Like, and that's what's going to be weird these next. Because even at IWE, when he wasn't always wrestling, he was at every single show. And
right,
so I'm used to seeing him at every show with a big smile on it. Like, that's the first dude I'm going to walk up and hug. And now I've been trying to wrap my head around all this. And I don't know. I'm nervous. I ain't going to lie. Like, that guy, I would go to him for everything. Like, when I was scared of getting hurt, he was the first person I talked to. I asked him for advice, like, what should I do, this or that? And he'd always keep it real with me. Like,
right.
straight up. He never bullcrapped me. I'm not gonna cuss because I don't think we can.
No, hey, you have free reign, brother. I mean, I put
Oh,
a disclaimer up at the start of the show if it gets to be R-rated. Not a big deal.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that, but like he's never once bullshitted me. He's always kept it 100% real with me, and
So, Bam, let's fast forward a little bit. Let's so you guys had your initial meeting. You know, you were a fan, as you said, the Terry's Lounge days, which if you were going to come on board to the MWO or start paying attention to it, it was during the Terry's Lounge days, because that was a unique era unto itself.
oh, that.
That's craziness. So talk to viewers through the first time Jeff introduced you to the MWO, how you came to be in I mean, you mentioned it a little bit in the tribute video, but for the benefit of those who did not watch that, take us back and tell the story of what brought you ultimately to the MWO and how Jeff was a big influence in that.
He was a giant influence. Like I remember it's the night before the MWO show, IWE. We were at my first ever time in Michigan wrestling, my second time ever wrestling. So first time wrestling in IWE, Jeff comes up to me and goes, like, holy shit, you can fucking go? And I was like, huh? And he was like, what the fuck, man? Jason's gonna be fucking pissed at you. These are his words. And I was like, and this was just after me getting slaughtered by Apocalypse. Like, absolutely, just professionally. One of my favorite matches. Like, but I got beat down. Power bombed a couple times. It was crazy. So when he came up to me, I was like, because he watched me get beat up.
Right.
From him seeing me get beat up, he came up to me and was pretty much like, you have something and you're going to be at MWO tomorrow. And I was like, well, I'm still in training and I'm supposed to go to training. He goes, no, fuck that. You're going to be at MWO tomorrow. We're going to talk to Jason. Right when I see you, we're talking to Jason. I was like, all right, man, I'll be there, because Nick was there. And so I asked him, I was like, is this going to be okay? And he was like, bro, it's a booking. If Jeff's telling you to come, you go. And I was like, all right, man. So right then and there, I was like,
hang on, Bam. But before that happened, hadn't you been helping with the teardown of the ring and stuff for us for a little bit?
Yeah. No, I was helping with you and IWE probably for about a year. And that's what I'm saying. Jeff, even with that whole ring setup, Jeff was one of the few people who actually talked to me. He, like, some of the guys looked at me like, what a mark, he's helping. And in my eyes, it's like I was sitting there being like, hey, I might not be able to get in that ring right now. And I wouldn't step foot in that ring until you gave me permission to bump in it. That was the first time I ever stepped in a professional wrestling ring. It was your ring, because you gave me the permission to bump in it. But for a year, I think a year and a half, I tore down, helped set up. I did whatever I could, because that's what you do. And my best friend was wrestling. I'm not going to give names because, kind of want to beat him up. Not really, but I was supporting one of my best friends. And then, like, I was thinking about the Terry Lounge days. And I was like, this is pretty cool. This was like one of our dreams, is coming here. And I was like, you know what? I might not get to do it, but I'll help set up rings. Who knows who I'll meet? And the first couple people I met were Jeff was the first, then the Steels, and then you, and then Michael Reaver, and Jacob Braun. 5 people right there were the 5 people who mainly, and I'll say Fat Tony too, because we clicked on it long time ago. So those were the 6 people right there who made me feel like I wasn't a mark. But me and Jeff really started connecting right there. And there was times Jeff would come up and be like, thank you, man. There's some of these guys who won't do shit. They're assholes. And he goes, we need all the help we need. And he always thanked me every time. And then we'd get to go on bull crap about whatever. And it's like, I can't remember half the conversations, but every conversation I've had with Jeff has been good. Even when I was in my lowest days, it was because like Jeff was there for me. But yeah, so helped set up with the ring. Me and Jeff started slowly talking there, sitting in the crowd, just rooting you guys on, just showing support, because I was always entertained. Always. I miss those days, man. But I'm still entertained. Now I get to entertain the people, so it's just a weird view now. from sitting in the crowd, wishing I was there, to Jeff putting me there. Because that's what happened. Because Jeff straight told me, your ass is coming, and we're going to talk to Jason. And then that Sunday, I think I rolled with Nick at the time. And,
No, you're cool. It's cool, man. This is
okay.
This is Clouse of the heart. You know what I mean? This is
okay.
So
good. we rolled there. We rolled there with Nick, and I got there. I maybe took two people's hand. He walked up, grabbed me by the back of my shirt, and then we walked up to you. And he said, "Jason, this kid can fucking go." And you gave him like a look, like, "Huh?" And then you looked at me like, "Hmm." And then he said, "Jason, I'm telling you, this kid can fucking go. Give him the chance." And you looked at Jeff, and I think he said something along the lines like, "I trust your word, Jeff. I'll give him a shot." And then you like pulled me to the side and was like, "Why didn't you tell me you were getting trained?" And I was like, I didn't know if it was okay or not. And then you just kind of gave me that look like, "Come on, of course it's okay." And then like I wrestled Omega that first ever time. And am I going too far ahead now, or
no? Nope, you're good, man.
Okay. So I wrestled Omega the first ever time. Jeff comes up and says, "You did great, man. You're going to be at the next show. Trust me." And then I think 10 minutes later, you came and say, "See you at the next show, Bam." So I was like, okay. But it was Jeff who guided me through that whole time period. Even my second ever match in MWO was against Jeff Clouse. My third match ever in MWO was against Jeff Clouse. And Jeff pretty much had a bubble over me the whole time up. Like I'll say it, he always protected me. Like even times where I thought I messed up, he'd come up and be like, "Why are you beating yourself up?" So, and that meant the world to me. So my first two matches, my third and my fourth match ever in MWO was against Jeff. And that was like being a little kid at Terry's Lounge watching PF beat you up, or, you know, him coming out almost looking
that
at the time
happened.
in my eyes.
That never happened.
But I remember him walking out and being like a probably 16, 17-year-old kid, him walking out. And at the time, I think he was like doing like it wasn't a Slim Shady gimmick, but to me, he just looked like Slim Shady. And he started doing that fight. I thought it was just the coolest thing ever. And then like Levi was there, you, Jamie Malibu, Aaron Orion, Adam Sniper. I could go on. Morgoth.
Right.
Like so many different characters were there, and I only went there a couple of times, but like that show stuck out to me. Here's the thing: I went to other shows in that area. I remember Levi being on that show because of being at MWO. And that, like those shows, there's not a whole lot that sticks out.
Right.
But I'm just giving you Jason Platinum, Cooter Blackwell.
Right.
He's gonna be mad when he hears that. I know you are, Cooter. Like,
so let me tell you a little bit of a backstory about the weekend of the IWE, and then the next day when you came to MWO with Jeff telling you that you guys were going to talk to me.
yeah.
Let me give you a little bit of a peek behind the curtain. Jeff called me that night on his way home from IWE, and he said, "Are you sitting down? I need to talk to you about something." So immediately I'm thinking that there's something wrong, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, yeah, I can, we can talk." And he's like, "I'm going to tell you something right now." He said, "I just seen that Branden kid wrestle, and he was absolutely awesome. And I'm having him come talk to you tomorrow at MWO. And I think it would be in our best interest to find a spot on the roster for him." Word for word. And I'm like, wait a minute. Branden that helps sets the ring up? He's like, dude, he was blown away. So much, in fact, that like he would text me to let me know that he was on his way home from IWE, because it was a drive for, that's a drive, right? It's up in the Houghton Lake area. And,
Yeah.
But for number one, for him to actually call me, that I knew it was important to him. And we had a lot of subsequent conversations about the direction that we were going to take the company and this, that, and the other thing. And your name, man, more often than not, was one of the first ones out of his mouth. This is the guy we need to build around. And, you know, I mean, it just goes to show what kind of faith that he had in you. You know, he saw something in you. And like I said, he didn't go to bat for a whole lot of people to the level that he went to bat for you. So that's how I knew, number one, you were somebody special, and he realized it before I did, you know, and over time and everything like that, you're one of my go-to guys. When I need something done, you know, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, you're there. You know, so he was absolutely right in that. You know, he could not have brought a better man all the way around than the day he brought you to my attention from a roster, you know, perspective. So
yeah, I'm speechless. Like that, honestly, that means the world to me. Like to hear that, like that. I had no clue that's how he felt. Like,
oh yeah,
damn, I had no clue he called you either. Like,
yeah, like I said, he never usually called. It was always a text message. Hey, I'm on my way home, and I would ask him, "Are you okay? Did everything go good? Everything's fine, or what have you?" And only on the very special occasions would he actually call me, that, you know, because he didn't want it to wait till Sunday morning when everything else was going on with setup and putting the show together and stuff. But you know, he wanted me to make a conscious effort that this was something that we were going to discuss at some point during the day, you know, on that day at the MWO. So I just think it's a pretty cool. You guys had a very cool dynamic. That's why I wanted to bring you on the show here. Do you have any other stories, any other memories that kind of stand out as your favorite? I mean, I know you said you guys always had good conversations, but was there anything that may not have happened within the realms of a show, or even if it did, that nobody else may have picked up on? Do you have any other fond memories that you would like to share about Jeff?
Yeah. Let me think. I got.
Okay. Well, while you think about it, what's that?
I can't say some of them. They're bad. The one that sticks out the most is really bad, and I don't know if I should say it.
Okay. If you're not sure, then maybe we shouldn't.
Yeah. I will say, I think one of my favorite moments, outside some of the other stories, some of my favorite moments with Jeff was the last show we had, actually. I think that was the last show where I wrestled Levi at. Jeff was sitting in the crowd. Was
that Bunkhouse Brawl?
I think it was Bunkhouse. No, not Bunkhouse. There was a show before that, because Bunkhouse, I was in the Hoss fight match. So yeah, it was a show before that. But I remember going out, and before I went out, I remember turning and looking at you and saying, "Is it all right if I fuck with Jeff and make him get up during my entrance?" And you said, "Do it." So I start slapping myself, and I get to Jeff, and I say, "All right, man, let's go." And he looks at me like, "Get out of here." And he went like that, and I was like, "That's not good enough. You're getting up, man. It's time to go, bud." And he stands up and dances, and then he's going to sit down. I think I grabbed him back, and I was like, "We're going all the way around, brother." And he followed me that whole time. We were slapping each other, and that was one of my favorite moments with him, man, because he knew I was getting him, but he went with it. So he made that moment even special. And then even at I think I was like one of his single matches at on TV, and like I like doing this thing at the end of matches, especially with baby faces, where and I know some people aren't comfortable with it, so I'm sorry about this, but this is me. But I always say a little prayer. So I get on my knees, and if it's a baby face, they'll stand up, and I'll stop them. And I want to say a prayer, just a little bit like I hope you guide them through life well. I hope you take care of them, and I hope their family are blessed. It's something along that lines. And then I always tell, I tell God and my opponent that I love them. And I remember I did my little prayer, and I remember looking up to Jeff smiling and then pulling me off my knees and go, man. And we just did a big hug. And that was at the end of our match. I did it. I was going to do it, Jim, but we did something else. But Jeff was like the main person. I ended up doing it with Tyler. But that was one of the most special moments I had, because I've never got goosebumps like that after a match. And it goes quiet a little bit in there, but you could tell everybody felt the moment between just me and him. And that's something that it don't matter all the like stories I could tell about Jeff. Like that one story right there, that one and one other one. This one is outside of wrestling. It's a little bit sadder, but everybody knows I left wrestling for 2 months. One of the worst decisions of my life. One of the worst. But you were one of the first 5, but I think it went to long lines of Jeff, John, you, and Jim. And I can't remember the 5th person, but you 4 stick out the most. And what I'm saying is, like, when my niece passed away, I posted it. I went very dark there for a long time, still fighting my battles sometimes. I'm getting better. I'm getting better. But I just remember getting a text from Jeff saying, "I'm here for you, bud, if you need to talk," and then just saying, "Thank you, I appreciate you, I love you," and being like, for real, man. And I'm not gonna go into the full conversation, but we just hitting it back and forth, and you made sure I wasn't too alone that day. And then right after that, I think you hit me up and was like, Bam, I'm here for you. Not just here for you. Everybody said a bunch of stuff. It's a hard day to think about.
Sure.
But, it went from the half an hour before Jeff called me. I was driving home, got the news, yelling on the freeway, to Jeff saying something that made me laugh. And that was a half an hour after losing my niece. And, and it helped. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still cried like a baby. And then again, 2 weeks after that, I lost my brother. And again, Jeff was like one of the first people. And like, he even, I can't imagine like what you're going through right now. Not a lot of people got to deal with this type. And it's like one of those things I wish no one ever had to deal with. And now it's like it's happening all over again sometimes. I'm not trying to be sad or anything like that. I'm sorry if I'm bringing the podcast down.
No, you're good, brother. This is what this is all about. You know what I mean?
Just there are nights, and when I say this, I'm gonna be real about it. Like, if you have suicidal thoughts, you need to get help. Like, talk. Don't hold it in. That's what will take you out. Like, Jeff was one of the few people I could talk to after everything, because before Jeff, I always talked to my brother. Having him with me at that funeral helped, but like not having him at his own funeral didn't help. So I just sat there like, who do I talk to? Jeff was one of the few first people to reach out, and like he was actually one of the first people I responded to. A lot of people I didn't reach out, I kept it in. And like he started opening it up, and even then I still kept back. And then now I have other people in my life who kind of have stepped in, not finally, because it's finally getting my shit together. But, I almost went right when I remember seeing it on Facebook. And when I first seen it, it wasn't even on Facebook, because like I'm not Messenger. I seen it on Messenger. It was over the Freebirds. And that's why Jeff is an unofficial Freebird for life. Like, he's part of that chat now. And we wanted to make him part of it before he passes. It's one of those things when I post this on Facebook saying you don't take anything for granted, because tomorrow's not guaranteed. You might be able to say, "I love you." When you're a little bit older, I'll hold you. And then the next day, find out she didn't wake up, or find out he didn't wake up. And that's one of the worst pains I ever felt. And so I'm a lot more open about it now. And that's only up until like a couple weeks, the only other person who really knew about this was Jeff and maybe 2 other people that I don't want to name right now. And he got me through some shit, man. And not even saying a lot, just being there occasionally, because at some point when you keep saying the same thing, you stop posting like rest in peace to people because you don't want to be a drag on anybody's life.
Right.
Sometimes you just need someone to be like, you're not a drag, you're sad. It's understandable.
Yeah. 100% right, man. I mean, it's one of those, it's the human emotion. We all experience it in some way, shape, or form throughout the course of our lifetimes. It's inevitable.
Yeah.
Just, how we deal with it is what varies from person to person. And I know, I know that, you meant a great deal to Jeff, and he always wanted to make sure that you were okay and taken care of, right? Because it's just that's just how he felt about you. It's how he felt about his closest friends. He always went to bat for him and always made sure that he was there for him. But to wrap this up, Bam, let's talk about something a little bit on the upswing. Let's talk about September the 19th. Yeah, see, I knew that. Saturday, September the 19th, Artesia Youth Center in Houghton Lake. For the first time ever, under one banner, IWE MWO will present Pure Fury, a tribute show to Jeff Clouse. What are you most looking forward to on that day?
Beating somebody up. Whoever you guys put in that ring with me, I just want to put whatever we can put on.
Right.
I just want to throw a banger for Jeff. If I can do that, I'll be happy as hell. Mm-hmm. But either way, another thing is I get to see you guys. I get to see everybody. Like, that's what I miss the most. I just miss seeing you guys, man.
Right.
Like, we went from seeing each other at least once a month to just nothing. Right. So I'm excited about beating people up, seeing my best friends, everybody, and just having a blast. Like, it's time to have a good time for Jeff. Like,
couldn't have said it better, brother. You could not have said it better. Once again, it's Imperial Wrestling Entertainment. You can find them on Facebook for all of their information. It is a joint promoted show with the Michigan Wrestling Organization. It's called Pure Fury. It will be at 3 o'clock on September the 19th, Artesia Youth Center in Houghton Lake. It is an outdoor event. I have been up there. I've seen a couple IWE live events. I'm very excited to work with John and Dennis on this endeavor. This is, this is 90% them. You know what I mean? They really, so to be able to work with them on this show is going to be something very special and kind of a fitting thing that this is all revolving around Jeff, because if anybody can bring two promotions to work coherently and professionally with one another, it was Jeff Clouse. Would you agree with that?
I would totally agree with that. 100%.
Well, Bam, I certainly thank you, brother, for all of your time to come on the show here. It's been my pleasure. It was great to actually see you, to be able to talk to you instead of over Facebook or Messenger. Brother, take care of yourself, and I'm looking forward to that big bear hug on September 19th.
Oh, it's coming. It's going to be huge, and definitely, man. It's always a pleasure. And before I forget, because I got to throw a little promo in real quick.
Sure.
I'm begging Jason, John, give me Jeremiah J. Hughes. Give me Jeremiah J. Hughes. He is the man right now. In order to be the man, you got to beat the man. And I might be one of the craziest, but I ain't the man yet. So please give me Jeremiah J. Hughes. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Oh, way, baby.
Awesome. Backwoods Bam, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take a quick break, and we will be back with more of Clouse to the Heart right after this.
Love you.